Hello, everybody, and welcome to the One Nation of Gamers 2016 Circuit Open number 2, brought to you by Geico and Alienware. I'm TJ Zumakuni Sanders. Joining me today to bring you the cast, Keaton Chalky Gill. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty well, man. I'm a little disappointed to not be playing. You and I both know the feeling. We were pretty close, lost in the round of 8, but casting's a close second, so happy to be here.
Yeah, it was almost as if it was scripted, but we were actually trying our best to win, just to make it so we could possibly attempt to cast our own matches. But basically, this is the round of 4 and on for the Open number 2 that happened yesterday. So I believe there was close to 200 participants that were playing through the bracket, and these are the 4 players that made it to the top 4. It's Astrogation and Eversiction, both from New World Esports or New Order,
New order,
New
yeah.
Order Esports. Sorry, and the other 2 players are LBYS, who was a mainstay in the circuit for 2015 for One Nation of Gamers. We saw him multiple times. And King Pawn, who's sort of a newcomer to ONOG, hasn't really been on the circuit very much. We'll talk about him later. But of course, that first match between Astrogation and Eversiction should be a good one. Keep in mind throughout the broadcast, make sure you guys are heading over to geico.onog.gg. It's the official website for the tournament. On that website, you can go on there, get a quote from Geico, which also enters you in a sweepstakes to win an Alienware PC. So if you like the tournament, if you want to support the tournament, and if you want a chance to win an Alienware PC, make sure you head over there. So, well, yeah, let's start talking about that first matchup now. Astrogation versus Eversiction. The 2 players that beat Chalky and I yesterday, also teammates. Take a look at their deck lineups. I think Eversiction's, unless they can change, it's wrong. It should be a warrior instead of a hunter. But Astrogation's, I believe, are
Looks like we're changing it,
okay.
but yeah, Astrogation is playing a Zoo Warlock, I believe, Secret Paladin, and Patron Warrior was his lineup.
hmm
I actually lost to him, like you said, in the tournament, so pretty common decks. Nothing too wild about that, and you should know what Eversiction's playing, so why don't you give us the details on that?
Yeah, they just switched around, so that's perfect timing. He has a control warrior list actually, and
Hmm.
it was just brutal, man. I was playing Freeze Mage, Oil Rogue, and Zoo Warlock. So it was pretty much going to be tough for me to take a win against that warrior deck. But it's a great list. A lot of players are, I think, underestimating Control Warrior in the current meta at the moment. There's a lot of different builds out there, but we'll have to see. He's also got just a pretty standard Druid lineup and Reno Warlock actually. So a lot of players have been favoring the Zoo because Reno, especially in a no ban format like ONOG is, Reno Warlock is pretty susceptible to losing against Druid a lot. So it's a bold choice, but the deck seems pretty strong. So this matchup should be pretty good.
Yeah, so it looks like their lineups are pretty similar, but in actuality, they both have 3 completely different deck archetypes. With Eversiction favoring more of kind of like a control style, definitely some slower decks on his side. Tends to line up a little favorably. I mean, if you compare just the warrior decks directly, like control warrior definitely favored against patron. It's a very slow, uh, inevitable thing. You're
Yeah.
like staring at your hand. You're like, maybe he doesn't have brawl, but they usually have brawl. A lot of lists are playing 2 nowadays. I'm definitely interested to see Eversiction's take on it.
Yeah.
Um, I know that, like you said, within the last month, really since Fibonacci finished number 1 with Control Warrior, a lot of players have been revisiting it and kind of making new lists, seeing what they can do with it in the meta. Has some really strong matchups, has some really bad matchups, and it does have a lot of room for player skill and how patient you are, how aggressive you are sometimes with your removal, and we're going to see it in game 1.
I think how patient you are is the big one there because modern control warrior lists, they don't really run too many proactive threats.
Hmm.
It's pretty much all reactive. It's just all removal spells with double bash, double brawl. So you're just sort of, it's a war of attrition. You're just trying to make your opponent run out of resources. And there are decks out there that have a tough time running out of resources, like Druid, that'll run you over if they get a semi decent hand. So have to see. I don't think Astrogation had a Druid, if I
Yep,
remember
he does
correctly.
not. So It's going to start out with Secret Paladin. And he got a 3 keep off, out of his 4 cards. He liked 3 of them, and it's a pretty strong opener. I mean, it's so strong that he basically has 3 different ways to sequence this. He can start out with the Secret Keeper, or he can start out with the Haunted Creeper Minibot.
Mhm.
Looks like Minibot. I don't think there's too big of a difference between Secret Keeper and Minibot, besides that doing it this way is a little more flexible because you can choose how to play your secrets. Wow. Really nice
Wow.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so good that he hasn't played any of the cards he kept off his mulligan.
yeah, and what this does is it makes it so you're forcing the warrior player to have brawl like on
Hmm.
5, or else you can run
Yeah,
away with the game because Secret Keeper, in combination with the double secrets, um, make it so that even if you do have Death Bite or Fire War Axe, one of those charges get going in the Noble Sacrifice, and then you have to worry about the Avenge. So
yeah.
um, makes the attacks first because he knows those are happening 100%. And I'd imagine he'd go with the Secret Keeper double secret here, but
Yeah, I would too, because it's the best option to set up your mana utilization for the next few turns. Like you have 2 drops, which fit in well on even mana turns, like 4 mana, whereas the 1 drops really help you fill in your curve on this turn. And this just puts out the most power on the board. And it challenges Deathbite the best.
no weapons. Wow.
Yeah, and he doesn't have anything to do. Like you said, I mean, he's just going to be crutching on one of those brawls on turn 5, which, to be fair, isn't the worst thing ever. We're going to have to see if Eversiction or if Astrogation decides to play around it, which I would expect he would, especially with the muster pickup. It makes it so much nicer to hold the juggler and play it on 5. And this conveniently plays around brawl, but Eversiction has 2 brawls.
Yeah.
So there's still a long way to go for Astrogation. He's going to need to pick up, some of his bigger creatures.
Yeah. And both these guys are definitely, well, I should probably say probably familiar with their each other's deck list because they both are, of course, on the same team. They're both sort of like up and coming players in the competitive scene. I know Astrogation plays in a ton of opens. He finished
Yeah,
top 100 many times in
yeah.
2015, and he won the esports arena, I believe. That the one of he won
He's
a major.
definitely won some firesides there. I think he finished
Was it second?
second to
Okay.
6-0. Yeah, I
Oh
was
yeah,
actually
that's
at
that's
that
right.
event.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, definitely a big up and comer. I mean, I met him at the esports arena event, and that was kind of when he was just a new player. And he's actually very highly seeded for North American regionals this next weekend. He's actually just right behind me, sitting at the 13th seed, which out of 128 people competing is pretty good. Like
yeah.
you said, he really plays out those opens, goes for those points.
He's seated right in front of me, 9,200 seat.
Solid, solid. Did you actually check up on your seed, TJ?
No, I didn't. That was just a guess.
You'd actually be pretty highly seeded because past the top
It's
128,
alphabetical
it's
order.
just
Okay.
alphabetical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strategic. Well, both brawls are gone, and now Doctor Boom's played on 7. So, I mean, this probably feels decent for Astrogation, but we can see that there's BGH in the hand.
hmm.
Still a lot of removal, and
Well,
I does Astrogation's list run Divine Favor? Do you
I
from playing against it?
I did not see it against him. I know a lot of lists don't run that card nowadays, but I mean, if Controller gets more popular, it'd definitely be a good inclusion. But from Eversiction's point of view, I don't think you play around Divine Favor if you can't. And interestingly enough, Eversiction doesn't actually have to proc the Noble Sack here because he attacks while the board is full. So he gets to remove an extra 1/1. Like you said, the BGH is easily going to take care of Dr. Boom, and barring some really good boom bots, Belchers are going to be really hard to get through.
Yeah, they absorb so much damage. And usually at this stage, when you're playing a non-divine favor list as a secret paladin, you're just relying on top decking big threats enough to be able to do those last points of damage. But it always feels like warriors always find a way to block whatever you're doing. Especially the new age
Yeah.
warriors, they're just chock full of removal spells and weapons and
It's a very slow
things.
deck.
Yeah.
It's very reactive. I mean, going down to 10 health and then stabilizing is a very familiar feeling as Control Warriors, so having both brawls was pretty fortunate the way the game played out, and obviously having, the removal for the Doctor Boom, but Execute could have gotten the job done, maybe a Shield Slam could have as well, so Eversiction did have, some really nice answers, and Astrogation, I think a big key this game was that he bricked on turn 6. I think if he drew, like, Mysterious Challenger, the game would have just been over. But he drew a Secret Keeper, so he had a very weak turn 6 going into the Doctor Boom, which allowed Eversiction to just cleanly set up the first Belcher, and he got out the second one, and now he's in a decent spot. I mean, there's definitely still really good draws in Astrogation's deck, but just getting through the Belcher is going to be really hard on its own.
Yeah, Cockhammer is actually a really good draw because it allows you to keep those annoying creatures alive that are sometimes hard for wearers to remove, those 1/1s, and start pushing in for a little bit more damage. Eversiction, I know he ran 1 Revenge. A lot of Control Warrior decks actually run double Revenge also. And, oh yeah, you can see it there. The Golden Revenge. Golden Revenge looks a lot like Golden Bash, especially on a small screen.
All the Golden Warrior cards, they just kind of run together. They're
just
all
orange, just
red, orange, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Coghammer is going to be nice because it sets up, like you said, that annoying Divine Shield to get through. It's going to take 2 attacks just to kill a 1/1. And Eversiction or Astrogation probably feels like, okay, maybe I can come back, but I think Revenge for 3 is probably just going to close it.
Yep. Even a Slam picked up, so.
Yeah, it gets to decide how he really wants to do this. Obviously, I think he'll just slam for a card to start. Maybe not.
Yeah, you could slam for a card, then,
Maybe he actually is kind of respecting Divine Favor a little bit. He would definitely know if his teammate had it in his deck.
Yeah.
So, Tyrion's definitely the card of choice for Astrogation off the top here. Mysterious Challenger, a distant second place.
Let's see. Shredder. It's not the worst draw on the deck. But yeah, Divine Favor is probably not that likely either, because keep in mind that these are the decks that they played through the Open with. Mm-hmm. And in Open tournaments, especially in North America, players tend to play very fast decks. You'll see a lot of players with like full aggro lineups, or fast lists like Zoo, Hunter, and Druid, something like that. So Divine Favor usually doesn't favor Open tournaments unless you're super confident that you'll make it to the later rounds where you might see more control decks.
Yeah, and even in those later rounds, I mean, last week in the finals of the first Open,
Snork City,
it was pure aggression and pure mid-range decks. There was not a single control deck to be seen, and I think that's really the theme of what's normally getting to the finals of these Opens, at least in my experience and in what I've seen. Not only in North America, but in other regions as well. I mean, China is, a region very known for having many Open tournaments, and it's a big part of their scene. You have to win Open tournaments. You don't just become a pro because of who you are. And in those Open tournaments, aggro decks basically always come out on top. Mm-hmm. The Gold Series, all the top 8 was pure aggro. And it definitely can lose to decks like the Control Warrior. We're seeing a real slow grind out here. The weakness, though, of Eversiction's deck here is that
there's no threat.
It's actually opening up a window where Astrogation, had he gotten nice draws in these past few turns and not Redemption on the 1/1, he would have had a chance. A very slim chance, but I feel like Eversiction's really just waiting on his deck to pick up a huge threat. Grommash, even Justicar is insane because it's going to gain him so much life.
Yeah. So the funny thing about Secret Paladin is when its draws are bad, they have the potential to get worse because your deck is full of secrets. And when your draws are good, like when you have Mysterious Challenger on 6, it pulls the secrets from your deck, which makes your future draws better. So when your draws are good, they'll be even better. And when your draws are bad, they'll be even worse.
Yeah, and in general in Hearthstone, that actually applies almost all the time because if you draw your 1-drop, you can't draw it late game.
Yeah.
If you draw your 2-drop, you can't draw it late game. So that's kind of why it seems like in everyone's head, man, they always have, the perfect curve. Well, they're statistically more likely, as they curve out to curve out even harder. And so it seems like, it never ends.
That's why there are such a thing as good decks existing in Hearthstone.
Yeah, good decks are pretty good, it turns out. And I think Astrogation's about to go to 1 health. And yeah, he's going to die to this execute in the Shield Maiden hitting face.
It's really funny how Warrior wins with basically no threats played. The
I mean,
biggest
that's kind
creatures
of,
played the whole game was what, Sludge Belchers?
well, Shield Maiden's a 5/5,
Yeah, but
and
that was
Justicar's
sort
a
of irrelevant.
6/3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was basically when the game was sealed up, and like a Chillwind Yeti would have won in the game.
Yeah.
That is sort of how the deck plays: is you weather the storm, you play out all your removal, get rid of everything they have, and then, like I said, literally any unit can win you the game once you have such a stranglehold on the board.
Any unit, you say?
Any unit, even a Wisp. Okay, maybe not a Wisp.
Maybe not a Wisp. But yeah, Eversiction, it seems like he opens Warrior in most of his games. Because the best way to win a best of 5 series is to just crush your opponent's spirit in the first game by making them play a 30-minute game and inevitably beating them. So
It's definitely a small strategy you can use. I mean, pick order doesn't matter too much in Conquest, but there definitely is a mental game in Hearthstone, especially
yeah,
in open tournaments, in long tournaments, in live tournaments. I mean, everything where you're going to be playing multiple games, like even a best of 5, like you said, there's definitely a mental aspect.
so this hand's pretty bad for Astrogation. It got a little better with the Secret Keeper, but double Avenge.
Yeah, that means if he does draw a Mysterious Challenger, it's going to be missing a piece of that combo.
Yeah.
And I believe he's just running the 4 secrets from what I remember. He's got competitive spirit in addition to the normal ones, and like we were just talking about last game, the worse you draw, the worse it seems to get.
Yep.
But
And
it's definitely salvageable because Reno Lock, which looks like what Eversiction is playing, isn't
it
really a
is.
deck that's going to punish you that hard immediately.
And it's an interesting Reno Lock deck. I believe he did run the Arcane Golem Power Overwhelming combo, but he also runs Demons.
Wow. So a very cluttered list, which means he definitely is cutting, something. And by
Yeah.
something, I mean multiple cards. The Reno lists definitely have a lot of room for changes.
hmm
You can basically fine tune up to like 10 cards in that list. I mean, there are definitely some mainstays like Healbot, Dark Bomb, Peddler, Implosion. But I mean, even Implosion, I've seen some players cut
Yeah.
because I think that's normally because like those are the players that like think they're better than RNG, And Implosion is such a strong card that you have to play it
Yeah. Implosion is the most frustrating card in the game.
to play with and against.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah. Either you roll 4 and your opponent's pissed, or you roll 2 and you're pissed.
Exactly. And you roll 3, you're kind of both just like, eh,
You're both kind of pissed.
okay.
Your opponent's pissed that it didn't roll 2, and you're pissed that it didn't roll 4.
It's the most annoying card in Hearthstone.
Yep.
Well, this kind of just illustrates how, even though Astrogation had a mediocre start and Eversiction rolled 4 on Implosion and, had decent answers, he's not really punishing Astrogation that much. I mean, he's still behind on board.
hmm
See how this Avenge falls.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he would have liked it to fall on the Loot Hoarder.
it's still quite scary, though. A buff Damani Berserker.
Yep.
If you let that thing stay enraged, then...
Then you get to BGH it.
Yeah, if you draw a BGH,
Well, the thing is, do you even really want to BGH it? Like,
then you don't have a way to deal with a
and
Avenge Mysterious Challenger. Or no, both Avengers are gone, so you don't have to worry about that, but Dr. Boom must...
well, now Astrogation very ahead on board, and I know a lot of players. Nyria actually lost with Reno Lock today in the European preliminaries, and He was a bit salty that his opponent didn't play around AoE spells, but Renalock doesn't actually have that many.
Yeah.
There's Hellfire, there's Shadow Flame, and there's Demon Wrath. And
Twisting Nether.
yeah, now that he reduced the Twisting Nether with Emperor, that's definitely another thing to consider, but normally you don't have to really play around that.
Yeah.
Especially going into turn 7. So there is going to be an answer here for Eversiction because he had that Emperor. And then he will have a little bit of a stabilization with like Lord Jaraxxus, so
Healbot.
definitely another game where Astrogation gets off to a pretty quick lead and suddenly he's behind again and has to find more stuff to come back with.
Yeah.
So it's pretty snap twisting Nether here, not really anything else.
Maybe I'm curious whether or not he thought about using Mortal Coil, but I guess he knows that there's always going to be a target.
Yeah, there's basically, I mean, unless your opponent goes Tyrion this turn, you're always going to have a target with that Mortal Coil.
Yeah,
And since you know both Avengers are gone, you want to use it.
and you know you have plays also going into the next couple turns. It's not like Mortal Coil was the last card in his hand, or he didn't have a solid play.
So he gets to choose here. Does he just want to Jaraxxus? Or does he want to set up minions? I'd kind of like just Jaraxxus, especially with that Defender pickup. I mean, the Jaraxxus is healing you for the most it's ever going to heal you for right now, whereas the Healbot's always a consistent 8.
Yeah, and the 6/6s every single turn, you want to start cashing in on those as quick as possible.
He is going to take some damage, though, from the Noble Sack, and then he's going to take 5 on the backswing. So Tyrion, Mysterious Challenger, I mean, the Warlock is basically out of removal. All he has is minions, so if Astrogation picks up better minions, which Shielded Minibot is not, he would still be in this game. He is still in this game, but it's going to definitely be really hard to get through these big taunts.
Yeah, he left all of his Mysterious Challengers and Tyrion's on the boards in his last match against you yesterday.
Wow.
That's what happened.
He did really curve me out, man. It feels bad, man.
Spent all of his luck in the round of 8. None of it left in the round of 4.
It's better to spend it there than to not spend it at all, man. I spent all mine in the round of 16.
Yeah, me too. I actually had to go back and look at my rogue deck to make sure that I actually put Sprint when I built it. That's how far away sprints were. Yeah, that's
So, like we said, it's going to be missing one, but it's got the competitive spirit. I think that with 7 minions out is the most important one to have. He's actually not going to get the Noble Sack off right now, which could be a bit of a mistake, like filling up his board.
Yeah.
I guess he just decides... He probably will still get it off, because Eversiction has to attack into something, and then it gets redemptioned, and then I guess he still can't proc the Noble Sack, so there's not going to be a Noble Sack. But I wonder if Eversiction even wants to attack. Maybe he... Oh, maybe he just attacks face.
I just go face, because he's at 18.
You can set up big taunts and just go face.
Yeah.
And not proc... I don't know, though. There's a 7-minion competitive spirit.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so he can do 9 to face this turn, and he has Power Overwhelming in his hand, too.
Yeah. All he needs to do is survive and stick a minion.
Yeah, but sticking minion's going to be hard with that competitive spirit, because he's going to be able to decide.
But he's got a lot of taunt on the board. I mean, that's 28 points of health to get through.
Mysterious Challenger takes out
a little less
already.
Right.
Just by itself, so
there's the Calm Spirit. The top deck is pretty big here. Not that great with both your Avengers gone, but...
Yeah.
Can he clear... It's definitely not lethal. He's 4 off lethal.
But he can take creatures off his board.
To set up the Noble Sack.
So that means the attack can't go face. So only
Eversiction also has his face to attack with.
Yeah, but he still might not have enough. If just the Defender of Argus is left on the board if he clears off
Twilight Drake. If he clears the Twilight Drake, but is he really going to play around?
Power Overwhelming?
He's going to know that Eversiction is playing combo.
Yeah.
So he can realistically think, okay, his outs are Leroy, which would kill me anyway. Pio, which there's a difference in which one I kill. But look at how inefficient it is
Oh
for him
yeah,
to kill
yeah,
it.
yeah. He's definitely gonna go face here.
I think he's just. Yeah, he's either going to kill just the defender or he's going to go all face, and that's going to do it, unfortunately, for him.
Yeah, and I mean there was even a chance for Eversiction to top deck something that would give him lethal anyway.
So yeah, he plays around. Does he really play around anything this way?
No.
Yeah, there's basically, I guess, Abusive Sergeant is like the
Oh
one
yeah,
card.
yeah. I'm Beast
Yeah.
Sergeant.
He plays around Abusive Sergeant this way, but doesn't play around Leroy or PO. But you can't really fault him for that. I mean, the trades were so inefficient.
Yeah.
And if you trade too much, then you're just losing to like a taunt. You know, you're just losing to Reno, Argus. We already saw Argus, but Belcher, any taunt or heal card in the deck. And Eversiction kind of breathes a sigh of relief. I was pretty stressed about that game.
Yeah. That's why I hate playing control decks in tournaments because it's always so stressful. You're playing reactively. You're hoping that you have the answers to your opponent's threats, as opposed to being the one that's dictating like the pace of the game. So.
Of course, it can be pretty stressful hoping your opponent doesn't have it.
Nah.
Astrogation's position in these past two games has been like, come on, let me draw something good for once, and then he draws it like one turn too late.
Astrogation's basically barfing out his hand and hoping he gets a good draw.
This time he just kept Challenger. He's like, you're staying with me. We're playing you on 6.
Well, it is super strong against Druid, and
Yeah.
Eversiction's hand is actually terrible. He's definitely going to need to find Innervate, Wild Growth, a tool to help him ramp into those expensive cards. And he picks up a Swipe, which is... It's decent. It's going to be able to deal with Muster for battle, but, it's still a turn away.
Yep. Swipe definitely a card you are going to want in this matchup, I'd say. I mean, I think one of the most winning lines you can take as any aggro deck against Druid is just be like, okay, if you don't have Swipe, you lose. And when they have Swipe, you're pretty sad.
Yeah.
But it's not as efficient now because he went ahead and used the Living Roots. So now he just swipes away Muster, which is not even that great of a trade,
Yeah. But, yeah, it's... you're trading a 4-mana card for a 3-mana card, and he also keeps, the weapon from the 3-mana card. You do get extra face damage, but...
Yeah, Shredder's a really nice pickup. It is going to run right into this Druid Claw, which now you have to kind of consider... Do you ever not play Challenger here just so you get the Coghammer value? Because it's pretty sick value.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It always feels bad to not play the Challenger when you can, but you're not really screwing up your curve that much.
And you're still developing another threat, so the more creatures you have on the board when you play
Challenger, yeah. Because if you just Challenger this turn, not only does your opponent get a nice trade, if he had BGH, you'd have a 50-50 at removing a 9/8 off your board, which is pretty bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this a lot better.
He also develops 2 creatures after also, because he can use the coin to throw out that Secret Keeper, so going to be 2 creatures on board going into the next turn. Or 1? Depends what he uses his Wrath on.
I would think you use it on the Shredder. I mean, if you use it on the Secret Keeper and your opponent goes Challenger, which, if you've been paying attention, or using a deck track or something, you can tell that card on the far left Astrogation is he capped, and he hasn't played it. What could it be?
And he had the coin.
Right. It's like, what card would you keep and not play until turn 6? So it's definitely a situation where you'd be really screwed because your opponent would trade into your keeper, leave up a 4/1, and then set up a Noble Sack that you can't get through.
Yeah.
So the Shredder would stick as a 4/1, which is pretty ugly.
Yeah. So Keeper of Oldman is going to show its strength here. Guess you're just going to plop this onto the Dr. Boom and trade into it. Picks up Tyrion as well, so that's a good turn 8 play. Shame you can't use both Blessing of Kings and the Keeper here, but he's still going to be in a really good board position. Of course, depending on the boom bots, but even the boom bots aren't going to have too much of an impact on this board.
Yep. really the only cards Astrogation is worried about now is like Big Game Hunter, maybe Mind Control Tech, with some luck. He's actually going to kill off everything, so sort of plays around MC Tech a little better.
Mhm.
And now, really, the only card he's not hoping to see is BGH, and for once, it's actually not there.
For once. Yeah.
So it looks like a pretty locked up game with this Tyrion.
Yeah. One keeper's been used already too.
Blasphemy Kings is pretty good too, but yeah, I mean the Tyrion just seals the game basically.
Yeah. Blessing King's the curve after that's awkward. You're only developing Hana Creeper, Hero Power. You get more face damage that turn, but with
Yeah,
this, you for
it's
sure lock
actually
up for the future.
it's the same amount of damage, but it's a much weaker board.
Mm. Well, Astrogation finally gets a win with the Secret Paladin. I guess all it took was seeing Mysterious Challenger.
All it took was facing a non-control deck. I mean, I would definitely say this is really the tipping point for Astrogation is the Druid. Because, I mean, last week in my run to second place, I had multiple matches where I fell down 0-2 and then 3-0 Druid.
Mhm.
Astrogation's lineup is very good against Druid. Patron, Zoo, and Secret Paladin are all favored against Druid. And the other two decks, they're not so favored against. So, if anything, you know, if you're going to be down 1-2, this is how you want to be down 1-2, going into your best matchup for last. So, we'll have to see if he can pick up the really nice Patron hand. I'd say he's probably going to pitch all these. Inner Rage can help you kind of get that cheesy Patron thing. But interestingly enough, so Druid decks a while ago took out everyone kind of realized, man, everyone kills Darnassus Aspirant, and then you feel stupid because you coined it out. I'm just going to take it out and put in Living Roots because there's no card that efficiently counters Living Roots. And then people started throwing away like Dark Bomb and Fiery War Axe and stuff against Druids, so people put Aspirant back in. But yeah, Astrogation mulliganed right into Fiery War Axe, so this is the exact situation where Eversiction's risk reward is extremely high here, because if it doesn't die, you get to go Shade into Shredder. But when it dies, he screwed up his entire
you get
curve.
to Hero Power.
Yeah, he screwed up his entire curve for the rest of the game. Like, I mean, he's basically only one turn offset, but against Patron, that is a really big deal.
Yep. And Astrogation's hand is decent. Despite into Patron is, fantastic play. A lot of times, if you make 4 Patrons on turn 6 against a Druid, they can't come back unless they have the perfect hand.
Yeah.
Like a Keeper, a Wrath, and a Living Roots or something along those lines. So being able to have a proactive threat on the board when that turn comes helps you out. Because it means that they have to either take the damage to swing into it, which puts them closer to combo, which is usually your 1-win condition in this matchup, or, it contests one of the patrons that goes on the board that following turn. So he's really thinking about this turn. And I think it's between Frothing Berserker and Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah.
But Acolyte of Pain, you're throwing it into a Wrath, you're giving him a play. If his hand is bad and all he has is a Wrath, you're giving him a play on a turn that he otherwise wouldn't have one, or, and you're only giving your Acolyte one draw, so he decides to go with the Frothing Berserker.
Yeah, I definitely think Frothing is a much better proactive play, because you really want the Frothing to be threatening the Whirlwind effect, whereas the Acolyte you want to play the turn you play the Whirlwind effect, because drawing cards you can do instantly, and you can't really charge out Frothings anymore.
You can't really charge out Frothings anymore?
Well, you can if you play the card Charge, but...
Yeah.
most
And
people
you can
will
also
opt
play
not to.
Warsong Commander with the card Charge to give that charged creature
Or you
plus
can
one
play
attack.
the card Raid Leader.
Whoa. I actually really like Raid Leader in Arena. Let me clarify. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic card.
I like it in Shaman and Arena. I've had success with, but
Paladin.
in general,
I like it in Paladin.
yeah, you're a dirty paladin.
I don't play Paladin in Arena.
Yeah, sure you don't. Now you're like covering your tracks, like, please don't hate me.
I don't. I play rogue whenever I get it, which is just as
This
bad.
is this is a pretty big moment. If a one health creature drops off piloted shredder, that's really bad for Eversiction.
Unless it's a one-eyed cheat.
That would still be pretty bad. But a 3/2, it's about as much as you can ask for.
Yeah.
Piloted shredder did his job.
Yes, he did. Um, but there's still
Yeah.
a pretty good
If,
play
if
here.
Astrogation can pick up a whirlwind. Oh god.
Oh, hello.
Oh god. And then you see his reaction right there. He's like, wow. I don't think I could have asked for a better card.
Yeah, and he's got Battle Rage to follow it up too.
Yeah, this is going to
Next.
be a full board clear. It's going to be 4 patrons. It's going to be drawing a bunch of cards. He is so sorry. I
Well,
don't think he is sorry.
Eversiction does have Force of Nature, so that can clear
I can
two
clear
of the
2.
patrons.
I can clear the disabled patron and the half disabled patron. But the healthy patrons, they're still there.
Yeah. And you're spending
Ever,
your whole turn 6 to remove
it's
half
all he
your
has.
Yeah.
Maybe he just goes face. That's
Actually,
no more.
you go face this
Well,
turn.
you could,
No, you can't do that because then you have to swipe
if,
face next turn.
if you want to be really optimistic, you could only clear off the 3/2 and leave up the 3/1, top deck Wrath, and then swipe. And then you'd remove all the patrons while getting a little extra face damage. But I guess he just wants to be extra safe and not rely on the top deck. But I mean, in this situation, I wouldn't even fault him for going for the absolute Hail Mary top deck because he's certainly behind.
Yeah. Battle Rage also slams his own patron to get the extra card.
And the
Attack
extra
Smash is-
free one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lore's not going to do it. Dr. Boom is probably a liability. And it definitely is when your opponent has Big Game Hunter in their hand.
It's just working out pretty nice.
Well, the Boombots could just do a lot of work, but usually they do the opposite of that.
Yeah, especially against patrons because the new patron spawns before the bootbot damage goes off. So that makes it, less likely to hit a patron that still needs to attack.
Yeah.
More likely to hit a fresh patron, which if it doesn't do three or four, then it spawns another one. So the boombots can work against you.
Yeah. Astrogation's even saying here with the way he's sequenced, he's saying, I'd rather my 4/2 just die than you to get really lucky and kill off my patrons.
Yeah. And
So this is going to work out perfectly. There's no way he can really get unlucky here. Even 4 to face wouldn't really put him in range of anything. He's got enough health that he doesn't have to armor, so he can do really whatever he wants. I'd probably just Death Bite and go face.
sets up lethal, even.
I don't think you want to fill up your board in case of any like double swipe shenanigans.
Mhm.
Like if you Cruel Task, that fills up your board, which means you can't summon any extra patrons. I don't know how much that matters, but that's sort of along the line of what he's thinking about when he ropes that turn.
Yeah. So the game is looking like it's pretty much in the bag for Astrogation. Eversiction can survive another turn with Druid of the Claw.
Can he though?
He does, yeah.
There is an execute, so
Oh no, he doesn't.
if he healed, he would be alive by 1 on board. Yeah, I mean,
On
escape
board.
concede is the way out.
Yeah. And this is a viable strategy. You talked about it. Picking 3 decks that do well against a deck that so many people bring. If somebody has Druid in their lineup and you put 3 decks that counter Druid, you're going to win, even if most of your games are going to be 3-2.
Yep, a win's a win, so.
Force of Nature. I mean, I guess this takes the
Does
most.
this keep him alive? No. Oh, it does by 1 health.
It does. 7
Oh, man.
from the Death Bite. 2
He just
from the
wants
Cool
to draw out
Taskmaster.
our agony.
Alright, well, 1 damage. What can he
Come
draw?
on.
Inner Rage. There it is.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, that means Astrogation is going to tie it up at 2-2. So the last matchup is going to be Eversiction's Druid versus Astrogation's Warlock, which is Zoo. And Zoo is quite a bit favored against Druid. I think it's probably the best deck
Well, we definitely haven't
against
seen
Druid.
any anti-aggro tech out of Eversiction. We haven't seen like mind control techs. We haven't seen Ancient Wars or Belchers. Like, there's nothing to indicate that when he built this Druid deck, he wanted to beat aggro or like board-based aggro like Zoo. So in that case, I would favor the Zoo pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Like maybe even up to 70-30. But
Oh.
I don't know how much that is biased from coming against like ladder. But I've been playing a lot of Zoo these past 2 months, and Druid is my best matchup. So
Yeah.
ignoring who your opponent is, you're pretty happy with this matchup.
Yeah.
Now, the way Druid wins is usually by drawing 2 swipes, a keeper, an innervate somewhere in the mix, and probably a wild growth too. So it's a very specific draw, and that's not what he has right now. He did pick up the wild growth.
All right. We're an innervate away.
All right, and Astrogation's hand is very nice though. Like the thing is, you get zoo draws where you will beat mind control tech double swipe with innervate with keeper, and you still win like pretty easily.
And it looks like Astrogation's deck is teched sort of against this type of matchup. Consistent early draws is what you need. And, having a lower curve with Argent Squire makes that possible. And also having sticky creatures that don't get killed by swipe, keeper, things like that
Yeah.
make it better. So, did he mean to do that, or was he trying to silence that?
I think he meant to do that, and then he emoted to make it seem like he didn't, because I think he wants to swipe, I guess.
But against a good player, emoting like that gives away that you have the swipe because
The mind
you
game.
know that you're
But
trying to mind game them.
I don't think it matters though, because like, I mean, maybe if he could Argus this turn, it would affect his play.
Yeah. Eversiction does like to emote. He renoed from 19 to 30 against my rogue deck. It's not even that big of a reno, and he emoted sorry. I'm like, I'm not even that mad.
Well, there's the innervate, so this is certainly the type of draw. Oh, wow.
You can double innervate swipe.
Well, yeah. I was just thinking he could like Azure Drake double innervate swipe next turn, and the main thing is that he can do it. So there's a chance Astrogation like walks into that on accident.
Yeah.
Right now he's not. He's playing it out pretty. I mean, he's just playing what his best plays are, but it's not really walking into Azure Drake double swipe. So he's just gonna set up Emperor probably, and definitely the issue of the double innervate is you can just run out of cards, and against Zoo, they're drawing twice a turn. You're drawing 0-cost cards.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. I mean, granted, your cards that you draw from that point on are going to be much higher value on average.
Sometimes. I mean, some of these Zoo lists, I think with the Argent Square Zoo list, yeah, you're probably on average drawing better than them, but with the higher curve Zoos, with like Dr. Doom, Sea Giant, those decks can really pack a punch late game.
Yeah, with this deck, the highest cost card is probably, Doomguard Loatheb.
Yeah.
And, what's cut for the Argent Squire? Is it like Bran or something?
I mean, it's probably just... Yeah, he might have Bran, he might not.
Gormok.
You're probably just cutting, the tech cards, the top end.
Yeah.
Making it more streamlined. I doubt you really want to cut the 2-drops. The 2-drops is pretty much all mainstays right now in the deck.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the board clear. I think he knew this could happen, but he didn't really have a great way to play around it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Astrogation now behind on board. He's going to need maybe like an implosion to come back on board, but he's just going to play it out slow with what he's got for now.
But, these are the types of hands that you need as a druid to beat Zoo. You need all of that early stuff. You had Ramp, you had Wild Growth, into Keeper, into Swipe, into Azure Drake, into Swipe. So it was, one of the best draws. But he still could run out of steam. Shade
Well,
That's all he
the,
has left.
the thing is, Eversiction deck is basically full of good cards now. I think the worst
All the
draw,
bad cards are
the
gone.
worst draw in his deck is like Wild Growth
Living
into
Roots.
Darnassus Aspirin or Living Roots. Yeah,
I think he runs one aspirin and one Living
there's
Roots.
the Doctor Boom, but
Wow, he could.
there's
Wow.
there's a big game hunter.
Yeah.
This makes me sad to watch as a zoo player, but yeah, I mean, I think with the Doctor Boom top deck from Eversiction,
Yeah.
it looks like he's out of the woods.
And he follows it up with his own Doctor Boom.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I don't think there's anything. He's even super healthy. So, even
Yep.
the nuts draw off the top is not going to do anything. Even if you
He's just
run
ignoring,
power overwhelming into Doomguard.
just straight ignores the Boombots. SM work. Sets up the lethal for next turn, basically guaranteed. There's no Doomsayer out of Shredder shenanigans that can happen. The Boombots can definitely do some work, but yeah, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah. And Astrogation concedes, realizes I think there was even lethal on board with hero power, so he knows that wasn't going to be enough.
Yep.
Or it was very close. So you don't really come back from that type of situation as a zoo player. There's no comeback mechanics aside from implosion,
Yeah.
maybe Doomguard, but that means Eversiction moves on to the finals. He'll face the winner of LBYS and King Pawn. And Astrogation, we'll still see him play a little bit later on. He'll play in the third place match. The third place match are our Geico points up for grabs. So for third place, you get 7 Geico points, 1 Hearthstone World Championship point, and $150, as opposed to 5 Geico points and $50. So that's a little bit of a bonus there for getting that third place. And Eversiction, yeah, he was on to the finals. You know how many Geico points are up for grabs in the finals, Chalky?
I do. 9 for second and 10 for first. And because of how the standings are right now, 9 points are guaranteed for Eversiction, and that will guarantee him into the feature tournament coming up, I believe, the weekend of the 28th, so end of the month. He'll be there with Shoop and myself, and whoever wins our next match.
Premium Geico points.
Very premium.
9.
Can't get those anywhere else.
I have 3 of them. I was told that I cannot sell them, though, which I was a little bit disappointed. You can't sell Geico points.
I would buy them.
Would you buy them? You're already guaranteed in the feature. You don't
I'd
need my
still buy
Geico
them.
points. You just have more.
I got
Higher
money
seed
to
going
blow,
into the feature.
TJ.
All right. Well, we are going to go to a quick break before we jump into the next match, but make sure during the break, guys, head over to geico.onog.gg. Get that Geico quote, sign up for that to win that Alienware PC in those sweepstakes. It helps support us, so stay engaged in those types of things. If you like what we do, it's there's $1,000 prize pool for every single open, and it's a recurring open. It's going to happen for a large majority of 2016. So it's a great thing that they're doing with Geico and Alienware. So make sure you head over there and support that during the break. But don't go anywhere, guys. The match between LBYS and King Pawn will happen right after this break.